Today we're going to be looking at a bona fide budget deck utilizing this card, Amazing Rare Raikou. We haven't seen these cards on the channel for quite a while, and I figured it would be a good opportunity to show that these basic attackers can be strong in the right situation. Let's talk about Raikou first. It is a 110 HP lightning type basic attacker that has the attack Amazing Shot. That deals 120 damage for a grass, a lightning, and a metal energy, plus we also deal 120 damage to one of our opponent's benched Pokemon as well. That is super strong and can lead to positions where Raikou is able to take multiple prizes on a turn. That is always very good, and I wouldn't be surprised if Raikou actually was able to take knockouts and win games against some of the better decks in the standard format at the moment. The question though is, how are we going to accelerate this energy? There is a lot of different stuff going on here. We need to accelerate grass and lightning and metal energy in one turn. So we've got a bunch of support Pokemon. Firstly, we have Flaaffy. Flaaffy is a very good Pokemon for accelerating lightning energy. It has the ability Dynamotor, which means that once per turn we can attach a lightning energy from our discard pile to one of our benched Pokemon, and that can get us our lightning energy. We also have Cherrim with Spring Bloom, which allows us to attach as many grass energy as we like from our hand to our Pokemon that don't have rule boxes. So none of these Pokemon in this deck have rule boxes, so we don't need to worry about that. And that can accelerate grass energy to our Raikous. All we need to do then is attach a metal energy, and we are good to start attacking. But we need to have all these different energies in our hand or discard pile, so we are also going to use Eldegoss with Cotton Lift to grab some energies out of our deck. Cotton Lift means once per turn, we can grab 2 basic energy cards from our deck and put them into our hand. In the early game, if we get enough, we can grab out the metal energies and the grass energies that we can use to attach from hand, and hopefully along the way we find a lightning energy to accelerate with Flaaffy. We also have a couple of other Pokemon in the list. I've got one copy of Snorlax here. These single prize decks sometimes can have slow starts, so we like to have Snorlax in the active position in the early game to utilize the ability Gourmandize. Gourmandize reads once during our turn. If the Pokemon is in the active, which it always will be, we can draw cards until we have 7 in hand, and then our turn ends. This is really good for refreshing our hand and trying to get those energies ready for Raikou to start attacking. And we also have one copy of Tapu Koko in the list. It's good for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Electric Ball is a solid attack that we might be able to use to finish off some Pokemon in the late game. But more importantly, it has no retreat cost, which means we can put it into the active and then use our Flaaffys to power up Raikou on the bench. Unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of space, so we do have very small lines of each of these Pokemon. One of the most important cards in this deck is Ordinary Rod. We use this to shuffle up to 2 Pokemon and up to 2 basic energy from our discard pile back into our deck, which we can then grab for later. So Ordinary Rod, a very important card. If you like the list, it is down in the description, so you can go and copy it into PTCGO if you would like. I think this is a really fun budget list, and hopefully you enjoy it too. If you do, leave a like and comment down below if there's any cards that you think I might have missed. Let's jump onto the ladder and see if we can't win a couple of games with it. Okay, let's get started and see what we can do here. It looks like we've had quite a few mulligans here, so we're going to use Stormy Mountains to search out a lightning type Pokemon. We're going to go with Mareep. We need to have that in play as soon as possible. I think a Cherubi is also a pretty solid choice. Could potentially go for a Gossifleur, but we do have grass energy in hand, so we'll attach to Raikou here and then pass. That's a solid first turn. These opening hands for these kind of decks can be a little awkward, so we do need to be careful, but I think that is a pretty solid job. Now, on the opponent's side of the field, it looks like our opponent is playing a Genesect V Fusion Strike deck. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably Mew. So we are up against one of, if not the best deck in the standard format right now. And this is a very, very interesting situation. If we can manage to maybe buy a turn, if our opponent doesn't get a very good start, then we might just be able to beat the best deck in the format with Amazing Rare Raikou. So we'll see how we go. Looks like they're utilizing Fog Crystal to grab a Psychic Pokemon, a basic Psychic Pokemon in Meloetta. Then they'll use Switching Cups. They'll put a card from the top of their deck into the hand, and then put one card from the hand on top of the deck. That can be very, very useful in these Mew lists. Try and accelerate themselves. Looks like our opponent is having a bit of a struggle here. They haven't slammed down a bunch of VIP battle passes, so they're not going to be able to utilize that card. Doesn't look like they have Mew either, which is good. Plus, we haven't really seen a supporter either, so I'm thinking we're looking pretty looking pretty solid here. We do, of course, have access to another Raikou next turn thanks to Stormy Mountains. Stormy Mountains lets us search out an electric or dragon type Pokemon from our deck and put it onto the bench, so Stormy Mountains could do that. We could then evolve our Cherrim and accelerate an energy. And then we'd need to decide whether we want a Bruno or research. So that looks like the decision that we are making here. We'll throw the Cherrim down. We have a Level Ball in hand as well. We'll be able to play that in a second. I'm actually going to grab Tapu Koko here. I think that might be better for us. And then I'm going to go for Gossifleur with the Level Ball. That is not a bad choice in the long run. I'm also thinking that maybe we accelerate... Well, we should accelerate this energy with Spring Bloom. We'll put that onto the Koko. Like I mentioned in the deck profile section, Electric Ball can be useful, so we might try and use that, and then we'll just research that hand away and see what we can find. Looks to me like we've got a very awkward turn coming up here. We are not looking good. We can grab a Flaaffy with this Evo Incense, which we will do. Evo Incense searching out a Evolution card from our deck. Then I'll manually attach to Raikou, and we're just going to need to pass again. Unfortunately, we have not been able to get an attack off, and this leaves us in a very awkward spot. If our opponent is able to accelerate energy using Elise's Sparkle onto their Meloetta, then they will probably be able to take a knockout on our active Pokemon this turn. But they didn't have a very good turn last turn, and it is unlikely that they have a very good turn this turn unless they are able to put down a couple of Genesects and get themselves moving, utilizing their ability. Looks like they're going to go for Boss's Orders to try and stall a little bit here, bringing the Cherrim into the active, which I am not unhappy about. Cherrim in the active is a little annoying. It means that we're going to need to find a way to get out of the active, and that Tool Jammer is very frustrating. Tool Jammer negates the effect of any tool card attached to our active Pokemon. So it's a little awkward to see that there, but you know what? We are not going to be held back. We're going to Evo Incense, grab ourselves Eldegoss out of the deck. We already had one in the hand, but we don't really care about these evolution pieces anymore. We will also Cotton Lift now. I'm going to grab a we're going to grab a Metal Energy for sure, and then I think we might grab... Let's grab the Grass. The Grass is fine, because we can accelerate that using Spring Bloom. We'll play down this second Raikou. We will use Spring Bloom to accelerate to the fresh Raikou, that Grass energy onto there. Then we can attach the Metal to our other Raikou and Bruno. Now we need to find a switch here. It does not look like that has happened, so again, we are running very slow, but I think we've bought enough time now to where we are probably going to be okay, and we are going to be able to attack next turn regardless of what happens. They could knock out our Cherrim. If they do, it's fine. We've got a powered Raikou. We can bring that into the active. It looks like they're going to use Escape Rope here, so we actually get to give our opponent whatever we want them to knock out. I think it's just fine to put Tapu Koko here. Firstly, if they take a knockout on it, we don't care. This Pokemon's not useful to us even a little bit at the moment, so we're happy to let that one be knocked out. And if they can't take the knockout, which they only have a couple of cards to work with, if they can't take the knockout, then we can retreat for free into what we want to attack with anyway. So, feeling pretty good. Here comes Elise's Sparkle, so they'll be able to choose 2 Fusion Strike Pokemon and attach 2 Fusion Strike energies from their deck. It looks like they only had one. which is a little bit disappointing for them. And they are going to have an energy on a Mew and an energy on a Meloetta. That Meloetta is going to be dealing 70 damage for every Fusion Strike Pokemon, Fusion Strike energy, sorry, that they have on the field. I think that's going to be 140, so they will take a knockout on the Tapu Koko. Plus they have the band there, which adds 10 extra damage. Plus they've also used a power tablet, which adds an extra 30 damage to each of the Fusion Strike Pokemon's attacks. So this is going to be doing like 200 damage. It's pretty solid. Not necessarily super useful on a Tapu Koko. They're only taking one prize. And like I mentioned, our main attacker is still in play. So we are happy with this. We are going to attach to Raikou. Then I think we can research here. I'm actually going to go for Cotton Lift. I'm going to grab this Lightning Energy out of the deck, and then I'm going to play Professor's Research, I think. We might just grab another Raikou here whilst we can. We'll get that with the Stormy Mountain. Then we'll play the Professor's Research, because this will put the Lightning Energy in the discard pile, allowing us to accelerate it using our Flaaffy. So now we have 2 powered Pokemon, which is fantastic. There's a couple of energies in the discard pile, so we'll be able to get those later, but for now, we'll Amazing Shot. We'll put 120 damage onto the active, which will take a knockout, and 120 onto the Mew, which is in range now of being KO'd. Unfortunately, they may be able to evolve that Mew, but if they do, then we are very close to being able to get a knockout on a VMAX. So I'm feeling pretty good. That was a solid turn, and we've managed to unprize a Grass Energy as well. So that Cherrim will be able to accelerate some energy onto a Raikou next turn. Plus we've got the Ordinary Rod, so if we get knocked out, like, you can see how this deck, once it is set up, can do the job. And we've been very lucky in the sense that this Mew player has had a very slow start. But you know, we had a slow start as well, so it's not like we didn't. It's not like we popped off and they've gone really slow and we're only just in it. And there's been a couple of turns of waiting for both players, so I'm feeling relatively comfortable. At the moment, it looks like they're starting to get their game plan going now. They've got 2 basic Mew Vs and a Mew VMAX to put into the active. That'll allow them to draw 5 cards with Fusion Strike System. So this Mew is starting to blow up a little bit. They do need an energy to attack. They obviously want to do that to take knockouts. They need to do that every turn. And hopefully we are able to sustain our pressure with our Raikous and keep attacking for KOs. There's an Elisa's Sparkle and a Fog Crystal. Grab a basic Psychic Energy. That basic Psychic Energy will go onto a benched Mew. And it looks like they'll probably go for a Max Miracle here. You'd think they'd want to get a knockout on the Raikou. If they choose not to, if they choose to go instead with the Float Up or whatever the Mew's attack is to remove this VMAX from play and heal all the damage, then that's fine by me. I don't mind, because we are not going to get knocked out and we're going to be able to put pressure onto their Mew as well. So looking pretty solid. We've got another powered Raikou we can go into. We're going to utilize Flaaffy's Dynamotor ability, accelerate that Lightning Energy from the discard pile to our Raikou. Then we can Spring Bloom, attach a Grass Energy to the Raikou. That's very good. And we've got a couple of Pokemon that we probably want to grab back with Ordinary Rod now, as well as a couple of energy as well. So Ordinary Rod, probably not a bad play. I'm just going to grab... Actually, no, I'm not going to grab that. I was going to grab something out with Stormy Mountains, but I need to actually use Ordinary Rod first. But that's okay. We're just going to grab this Metal Energy out. We're going to attach to the Raikou, and then we should be set. There's no real pressure on us here. We don't need to do too much else. I will use Ordinary Rod. We'll do both. We'll put the Raikou and the Tapu Koko back into the deck, and then grab ourselves a Grass and a Metal Energy. Those two can go back in. We'll Quick Ball. We'll get rid of Stormy Mountains. We don't need that in our hand anymore. We're going to grab Raikou, which is very strong. We can play that down, and then next turn we will be set to do another useful attack. We've also got Raihan. We can attach an energy out of the discard pile to our Raikou. I'm going to grab... Oh, we don't have a boss. I'm going to grab Bruno as a draw supporter here, and then we can Amazing Shot. I'm going to play some damage onto this Genesect on their bench. That will be knocked out next turn unless they can manage to heal that damage off, which is unlikely. So we are looking pretty solid. If they don't retreat this Mew, then we win the game next turn. It's as simple as that. If they do retreat the Mew, then we have 2 more turns to win, but we've got our engine set up. We have 2 powered Raikou. We have 1 Raikou that's a couple of energy away. So we are in a very, very strong position to actually go on and win this game. So I don't want to make any assertions here. I don't want to make any early judgments, but I think we might actually be able to beat Mew, which is the best deck in Standard at the moment. We might be able to beat that with a budget Raikou deck. So we'll see how it goes. They have hit 3 tails on Cramomatic, which is just crazy. That's really unlucky. And they are going into a Mew on the bench. They'll draw 4 cards with Fusion Strike System, and we'll see where that leaves us. They probably want to use another Mew here, so they want to find another Mew VMAX if they can. Obviously, it's not necessary. They could potentially utilize another attack, maybe. I'm not sure. They might Psychic Leap if they get a couple of extra damage boosts using Fusion Strike, Power Tablet, then that would be fantastic. But I don't know if that is going to happen. Looks like they've got a very interesting decision ahead of them anyway. And us, we don't need to think at all. We know exactly what we are doing next turn. We're promoting Raikou. We are taking a knockout on a Mew VMAX. And we're also going to be able to take a knockout on a Genesect in our next turn. It is looking pretty solid for us. Here comes the Switching Cups. Maybe this can bail them out of this bad hand that they're in. Fog Crystal looks like it might be able to grab an energy potentially. Maybe. I don't know. Being very coy, very slow about this is Alessandro. I'm sure he'll be able to find something. No, nothing in the deck. Okay. It looks like we might have ourselves a board state where we can go on to win this game. I don't want to make, like I said, I don't want to cast aspersions. At least we know for sure that our opponent is not going to Mani us, because in general, Mew VMAX does not play Mani. It's not necessarily a disruption deck. They're putting the Mew into the active. Okay. So, are they going to use Float Up here? Well, not Float Up. It's not Float Up. It's a different name. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Are they going to use it? Are they going to use it? Nope, they're just going to use Yes, Psychic Leap. There it goes. Okay, so Psychic Leap will put that Mew back into the deck, and that means that they won't lose 3 prizes next turn. But I tell you what, we can deal a ton of damage, and they only have 1 card. So we are looking pretty good. They'll be able to draw a few. They won't be able to draw too many times because we're going to knock a Genesect out. So I'm pretty happy with the way things are currently standing. They're going to promote Mew. I'm fine with that. We, on our turn, are going to do a couple of things. Firstly, we're going to play down Stormy Mountains. Not because we want to use the effect, because we don't want to be punished by our opponent's stadium. Then we are going to use our Eldegoss to grab some energy. We're going to accelerate to our Raikou. And we also need another lightning energy, which we actually don't have. So we're holding on to this metal for now. We don't really need it. And then we're just going to Amazing Shot. I don't think we need to do anything other than that here. We'll Amazing Shot, we'll hit into the Mew, and then we will hit into this this little, Meloetta as well. We'll get rid of that. We'll let them draw cards. I think we will be able to win this game next turn. I think we will. I'll give them the extra draw. It is so unlikely. Yep, it was very unlikely they'd be able to go on to win that game. And we've managed, with this deck, to beat the best deck in Standard. So we've seen it in action, but how good is Raikou really in general? This deck's pretty solid. I'm giving this one an A for cost. It is not too expensive, so you'll be able to pick it up on the cheap. Power-wise, I've given it a C. Amazing Shot is a very good attack, but sometimes 120 damage isn't enough, and you will find some decks are able to beat this relatively consistently. And our consistency I've given a C, not because it's poor, but because we need to set up a number of Stage 1 Pokemon that can be a little bit difficult to get going early. So, in general, a very, very good budget option, but not necessarily the most consistent one that you can find at the moment. Thanks so much, guys, for coming along today. Appreciate it greatly. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, or if you really like the channel, maybe become a member. Get your name on this list over here. Also, if you like this deck, then consider checking out this one. It's got similar characteristics. It's a spread deck, and it's relatively budget. Probably enjoy it.